times in this sport where I have watched you guys band together, and it's incredible. I really do enjoy it. Use one off the top of my head, but Leon Edwards. Leon Edwards had won 7 in a row. I believe you guys started this closer to when he had won 6 in a row. But he wins 7 in a row. Or goes 7 fights. Remember that? I mean, one was the poke in the eye with Blal, but either way, win a bunch of fights without a loss. However you chose to word it. And wasn't, by the promotion, being looked at as the clear number 1 contender that was going to be given a title shot. He was floated and the name was out there, but now we got another plan for him. And some of them were great plans, right? Like Nate Diaz, that's just an incredible night. Incredible opportunity at the time. Blahal, right? You look back on that, that's free TV that people weren't paying attention to. I go, my God, what killers. We've had that a few times. Dominic Cruz fought Demetrius Johnson in what could easily be viewed as the number 1 super fight the sport's ever had. But he did it just before Demetrius was Demetrius. Like, by example, he did it at 135 pounds where Dom was king because 125 hadn't existed yet as soon as Demetrius went down, right? Like, it was one of these things. Then they were champions at the same time. And so many people were calling for that fight, for that super fight. It's like, hey, guys, it's actually already happening. It was just one of these things. And you guys band together when Leon was being overlooked, and you demanded that didn't happen. And ultimately, whoever has the mandate of the masses has the most powerful argument. Not who has the most knockouts and the finishes and all of these weird places that pundits have come and taken our sport. Who's got the most resume? Whose mom loves them more? Whose wife cooks a better dinner? None of those things have anything to do with a decision that would come close to trumping the mandate of the masses. If you had a guy that was 12 in a row versus a guy that was 3 in a row, if you have the mandate of the masses, you're the one that leads the charge at the table. Generally, those things all come together. Generally, you guys will just want to see the right guy, and you generally just want the best guy. But every now and then there's other factors. And either way, when these things have happened, I've watched you band together. I watched you band together like the kids that went to Reddit and drove AMC through the roof and put a bunch of hedge funds out of business. And it's an interesting thing. I like it when it happens. I would argue that it happened with Khabib. A lot of people have short-term memories on how that worked out, but Khabib was begging for the opportunity for a title shot. Just happened to be Conor, but it didn't matter who it was. He just wanted to fight for the title. He finally takes his hat. He won't leave T-Mobile. He's sitting on Dana's car, leaves the hat there. Like, it was just this great moment. It went viral. He took a picture. It was just this great moment. But that was the final one where the boss goes, okay, uninteresting young man. Apparently representing Russia, but training in California. Like, I don't even know what to do with you or what demographic I'm going with, but okay. And the rest is history. It all worked out really well. But I bring these things to you because I feel as though we have one right now. We have one right now that I wish you'd put a little of your energy on as a collective group. And it's just getting clarity and getting a booking for Islam Makhachev. It's nothing more than that. We know a lot of things. We know his next fight is going to be a world title fight. We know it's going to be under the unified rules, and we know it's going to be at 155 pounds. And we even believe we know who it's going to be against. We believe we know it's going to be Charles Oliveira. And if for some reason it's not, it's going to be Justin Gaethje. It seems like we've got a lot of these things together. But not a lot has happened, and there has not been a lot of talk. And for a guy in Islam who didn't take a punch, didn't take a choke, didn't take a slam, didn't take a cut, didn't take an owie of any kind, in his last fight, we don't want history to repeat itself. So I apologize. Islam's last 2 opponents have both been Volkanovski. But one was 2 weeks ago, and the other was in March. And that is a massive gap for a champion, particularly one that has done what Islam has done. And I'm not talking about the success in terms of getting a hand raised or getting that belt around you. I'm talking about, we were told the Perth fight between Volkanovski and Islam, part one. We were told that was a top 5 pay-per-view of all time. We weren't given any more details. It could have been number 1. The way the statement was worded, it could have been number 1. It could have been number 3. We don't know where it was. It was a top 5. Let's give it the worst billing. It was number 5. Okay, great. Well, a guy like that headlines that kind of an event, oh, and by the way, wins, is now owed not just a place in line. He deserves to cut the line. It's competitive. It's cutthroat. The whole sport is, but so's the business side of it. He deserves to cut the line. And none of us would disagree with that. We all understood when Conor McGregor says, bring me back, I'll do it against Cowboy, we'll do it at 170, why you scramble and book a show on 3 weeks' notice. We understood. It made sense. So we have a guy in Islam who has to wait from March to November. He has to wait 8 months for an opponent. He has to do this while he is healthy and willing. And we even had travel restrictions as far as rumor went on Chimaev, which were never confirmed or denied. But we don't have anything like that on Islam. In fact, we know that because Islam does his training in California with Coach Javier Mendez, just for example. And it would appear that we also know who the opponent is. We're not waiting on a fight. We're not waiting on an upcoming match. And if I have that wrong and we are waiting, I wish you'd add that to your list. Demand an answer. I mean, Benny DeRouche most certainly has the support of you guys. I don't know if that extends to the masses. But Benny DeRouche he won 8 fights in a row. Is that what it was? I mean, it was almost one of these situations where you're going, wait a minute, he already had the fight with Islam. That was already signed. That was already done. So we know that he can qualify for the fight. Oh, by the way, what's he got to go fight Charles for? He's got to fight 9 guys? And then what are you going to do if Charles wins? You're going to put Charles back with Islam? Like, nope, nobody wants to see that. That's not going to happen. I'm just sharing with you. It was one of these spots. And I do think that Charles would level with us. I think he would. But you got to hold his feet to the fire. It can't be loose. Hey, do you want to fight Islam next? It can't be that. When you ask him that way, he will say yes. When you actually have the bout agreement and it's ready to sign, so now you're going to fight Islam at this date, at this location, by example, that's where you get the real answer. It seems. I don't have a problem if it is Charles, guys. This isn't my typical take a chance to be rude to Charles opportunity. That's not what this is. Charles, okay, fine. Let's agree that it's Charles. There was a paper cut. It's long healed. That cut would have been cleared by the commission by the time the fight went off and off 2 weeks ago. So that's not the issue. Can we book him? Can we go ahead and do it right now? Can we get him on the docket? Israel Adesanya had a very quick turnaround, right? He fought. They announced they got this Australian show coming up. He comes right in. Sean O'Malley jumps in the ring, faces off with Aljamain Sterling 91 days before they went out and fought. Quick turnaround. And I'm just suggesting that, and it doesn't have to be overly quick, but let's push for Islam here. Let's get him 3 fights next year instead of 2 to start with. But let's also understand that in a calendar year, it was supposed to be 3 fights. So because it was 2, let's just speed this 3rd one up, right? Like, I mean, let's put some evidence into our argument and let's just get him some clarity. He wants to fight. He's not hurt. Imagine waiting 8 months for your livelihood. Oh, and by the way, when you go out there, you think you're going to need a rest. You're going to be at the emergency room tonight. It's going to be a bludgeon. You come out of it, you're unscathed. Everything's great. And by the way, you don't just have one contender sitting there ready and waiting for you. You actually have 2. You also have the BMF champion. Let's figure out which order we're going to go. If it's going to be Gaethje, right? I'd like to see Gaethje be a little stronger on that. That's not within his personality. Gaethje in a million years is never going to make an excuse for losing to Charles while that match was not at 155 pounds, which is the division we're talking about. It did not take place there. He'll never bring that up. He would be embarrassed to make an excuse. The guy weighed a quarter pound more than me. I understand those things, but it's still a meaningful argument. And whether it's going to be Gaethje or it's going to be Charles, or Charles is going to remove himself right now, he does not want to do the fight. But again, this isn't a Charles piece. It's an Islam piece. Whoever that opponent is, or if we're looking in the completely wrong direction, we got different plans, we're going a different avenue with both of them, and this next fight with Benny DeRouche, that's actually the one we're looking at. Or we're going to hold out till December's done, see if Covington gets the belt. Whatever we're going to do, Let's just get some resolution. Let's just get some answers. Islam wants them. Islam's done a lot for you guys, and he succeeded. He doesn't know how to ask, but he wants it anyway. So if we're going to bind together and going to work and you put your energy in something, put it into that. Let's get an answer for Islam. Let's get him booked. Let's get it on the dockets. Let's start moving in a forward direction sooner rather than later.